So welcome along to round 4, the final round of season 3 at Kyalami, a 1 hour race, and we'll go through some of the action as well as the finishing positions of the drivers like we did last week. So we'll see if Gaz can wrap up the championship. But at the very start of the race, Sean Cool, who had returned to the series after missing one race, was involved in a start crash with Paolo there and the newcomer Nathan Tompkinson. As you can see, Sean's race was over before it even started, to be honest with you, as we look back from Ben's Porsche, or my Porsche, and you can see Sean not get a stellar start, and then there's 3 into 1 really, and a little bit of nudging and contact, and Sean was the unlucky party there with major damage and ultimately would retire from the race again, so no points for Sean this season. And you can see it's a bit of a domino effect with Nathan and Paolo, but yeah, Sean was the one that came off worst on that one. Didn't finish the race, but at the front, Benji, it was returning to form, and Coleman alongside him on the front row. Good qualifying from Giortis as well, and he had Thomas all over him. And Gaz, the championship leader, starting 5th, but already swooping around the outside and taking a couple positions. Good start for Gaz, but at the midfield there's a bit of bumping and boring between Julian, Liam and Will, which you're about to see, and poor Julian was the one that come off worst because Will just catching the curb there, you can see he hops over the curb straight to the side of Julian. Seeing Will's on board, you don't really notice the fact that he hits Julian, but unfortunate for him, and that dropped him a bit down. But the finishers were Benji in 11th. Benji with more handling problems since the update, complaining of a lack of trail braking from the Porsche, and it's completely wrecked his feeling with the car. But even that said, he was on pole, but after a few laps he disappeared into the pits, and I imagine he crashed on one of the corners. I'm not sure on that one, but the 58 Porsche comes home in 11th place, much like he did in the wet Silverstone race last week. Tenth then was Will. We've seen him there with the slight contact with Julian. Bit of a racing incident, no one really to blame for that. Will just catching the high-rise curb, and in the Ferrari you don't get away with that, unfortunately. But Will, again, a case of what might have been good pace and not managing to get the car through the race without any incidents, unfortunately, and again that proved to be the case. Clouting the curb in the second last corner, I believe, and that's what caused most of the issues for him. And then he had a drive-through penalty as he pitted for his first pit stop, and that pretty much ruined his race, but still managed to finish the race in 10th place, which just shows if you keep going you get points. 9th was Giortis, so despite that brilliant qualifying, it wasn't to be in the race. Handling issues as well, there seemed to be the problem for the Audi, which again a bit of a tale of his season, to be honest. Has a good 1 lap pace, but the Audi not good enough over the race distance for him to bring it home in a sensible position, but again rewarded with points for finishing the race in 9th. The Audi always looking pretty cool. Just needs to sort out the handling, and he'll be up there on a consistent basis just on pace alone. So number 2 car there. Finishing 9th, and in 8th was, well, we praised him up last week and he's done it again this week, so yeah, Mark doing a great job in the 999 Mercedes, and he'll look to improve on that next season, just kick on from here. Solid drive. I don't remember seeing any chat of him having any issues, but yeah, getting quicker and quicker in the Merc, so it'd be interesting to see what he can do in season 4 if he sticks around, and I'm sure he will. He's looking good in that car. Julian then did recover from that opening lap issue, and managed to bring home the Porsche in a respectable 7th position, so good points in the last 2 races for Julian. The man in the Porsche, rumoured to be driving a Mercedes next season, but we'll see. There's a lot of rumours going around at the minute with the revised teams strategy, which basically will be two cars of each team next season as we enter a teams championship. And Julian, well, maybe tiring a bit of the Porsche. It's a difficult car to set up, and rumours that he's going to Mercedes, so we'll see. Just getting unlapped here from Benji, who's many laps down. 6th, and the man has just wrapped up the AM Championship, so I can't see him being an AM next season because he's pulled off a 6th place finish here. And solid pace, really good pace in the middle of the race I remember seeing. And well, despite that start line incident, which he was not to blame for at all, it was no one's fault really. It's just one of those comings together that happen sometimes. But Paolo, he'll be happy with that. A solid 6th place finish, and you finish in the top 10 in this championship, you're doing well. But yeah, he can build on that again next season, and I'm sure he'll rise to the pro ranks with that championship win. Well done to you. In his customary 5th position is myself in the special 911 Kyalami livery. 5th position is about the best I could do, to be honest with you. Issues with the pit stops as always. I don't seem to know what to do with those. They either stop too short, too long, and then they pull the car back, and it cost me about 10 seconds. Overall pace was pretty good. I managed to keep the 4th place guy in sight, but I pitted ahead of him. Just too much time lost in the pit stops as usual. The car felt pretty good, and it was good fun to drive around Kyalami, which is one of my favourite tracks. Good fun always to drive around this track. And 5th place and 3rd in the championship. Pleased with that. 4th place, Mac Attack, number 46 in the Lexus. The Lexus proven to be a pretty strong car this season, and rumours that he'll be in that car again next season, teaming up with Coleman, so that'll be a really strong team. But yeah, pulled off a great result here, a 4th position. I'm pretty sure that's his best position this season without looking at the table, but yeah, I think a strong race. He had good pace, but I think a bit of fighting with Ben lost any touch he had with the leaders, so yeah, we'll see him next season, and again, another one to watch, especially with Coleman as your teammate. 3rd, and Thomas, well, we've been looking for this sort of result for a while, and a well-deserved finish in the Bentley. And not quite the pace of the leaders, and they just bolted towards the end of the first stint, and it was pretty hard to catch up with them. But Thomas was the only one that could keep them, as you can see actually there, look, in sight. But again, not quite able to keep up with the Gaz and Coleman trainers we'll get to. An exciting finish there as well, which we'll get to. Thomas, a result that he wanted and a result he needed, which I'm sure moved him up in the championship, but we'll check that in a bit. Well done, Thomas. 2nd place though, despite all his efforts, Coleman couldn't stop Gaz winning every single race this season, and he wasn't able to stop him in the championship either, so we'll get to Gaz in a minute though. But another strong drive from Coleman, and Gaz just managing to pull it off. He may have been just a little bit quicker, to be honest, but when you're behind that Bentley, it's very difficult to overtake, especially when you've got someone like Gaz that's driving it. Doesn't make very many mistakes. But the number 9 Lexus will be back next season and trying to go one better. And like I said, teaming up with Mac, that would be a very strong team in that car. But it was Gaz that won the race and the championship. But as you can see from this footage, it was he was made to work hard for it. He didn't qualify too well. I think he was 5th on the grid, as we saw, and had to work his way through. Managed to undercut, I think, Coleman, who was leading the race in the first stint. And you can see there in the background, Thomas as well running them pretty close. And it was a much closer race than we've had. The top 5 really not too far apart. But Gaz withstood all the pressure from Coleman, despite Coleman's late charge. Gaz was able to bring the car home for the championship and to win the race. And as he enters the last corner, you can see the checkered flag, and he knows he's done it. An incredible 4 wins for Gaz. That is pretty good going in this company. But there's the championship. Gaz wins with 100 points. Then it's Coleman with 88, Ben 72, Mac 55, just ahead of Thomas. Then Liam, who dropped from 4th to 6th on the last race with a DNF. Then Will, who had a difficult season. Then the top ham, which was Paolo. Benji, who had an up and down season. Then Mr. Brown. And then it was Julian, 11th, ahead of a couple guys that didn't see out the season. And well, that was that. But you can join us next season and like I say, teams will be in there. It'll be a couple 90 minutes races, so join us for that. We'll see you soon on the 4th of March.